Hello friend, welcome back. In this video, I will discuss about that URL and then the query string, which I have already shared a little bit. Now we will apply it in our project. Like if you go to our project and if you go to that view and that is our bicycle. Okay, now I want to open with the live server. I simply open it. Now that is actually missing because I have already changed all that our CSS, right? Right now I want to go to better our project. Okay, that is our exercise file. Into this exercise file, that is our HTML code, right? Now from here I want to show you, like that is our bicycle HTML. If you now go open with our browser, like that is our bicycle shop. Just simply understand what exactly the things will be happen. Like that is our bicycle shop, and here when you click it, okay, then that will be redirected to our specific one ID. That means which ID is bicycle is that a specific this ID another content will be loaded, right? That means our URL will be what? Our URL I want to do after that, I want to create some of the URL as a bicycle. Okay, bicycle. So that will be our URL, and after that I want to pass some of the ID. Okay, ID like as a one ID. That means it will be get that one ID data. It will be get the 3 ID data. So that is our URL, and that will be our query string. So with this query string, we'll get a specific some of the ID data. So first of all, I want to get that our URL. So if you want to get this URL, then what exactly you have to do? I have already discussed about that things with you before. Right now I close it. Okay, close it, and also you don't need this. We can get these things with our this request, right? That is our request object. With this request object, they have also one of the property as URL. Now I want to use it. So if you check it with the console log, there is a console, and into the console log, and then our request, there is a request object, and there is one of the property as a URL. Now I want to access that URL property. Okay, so now if you run it like here, right now I want to click as a save all. Okay, click as a save all, and now on to in our browser, so that is our port, and after that port I name it as a bicycle. Okay, like I just name it as a bicycle. Now click as a enter. Now if you go to our terminal, now you can see it's now display as a bicycle. Okay, so that is our URL, and by default, as I told you, it should be display as a favicon.io. Okay, if you want to ignore it, you can actually ignore it, and rather than if you make it as a test, okay, make it as a test. Now click as a enter. Now that should be pass another URL as a test. Okay, and also you can see there's displays a favicon. Better I want to ignore it. If you want to ignore it, before I have already discussed about that things with you. Simple one of the if condition I want to with this I want to solve this issue. That is our request, right? It comes from our request URL. So from to the request URL I want to do when that will be the equal as a slash fav. Okay, favicon.ico. Then I want to return it. Then that will actually not display. Okay, I simply returned it from here. Now if you click as a save all, and now if you enter it again, now click as a enter. Now that should be display only test. You can see it's now display only test. Great. So now I want to pass on the string query. String query means, as I told you, like that is our test, right? After the test, that will be as a questions mark, and then I want to pass like as a ID is equal to 1. Okay, so that is our string query. So now if you click as a enter, if you go to our terminal, simply understand how that functionality is exactly working. Like now you can see it's now display as a test and then our total value. So now that should be not display like that way. That is our URL, and that will be our query string, right? Here we have to separate it. We can separate it with the splash, but in Node.js that is very much easy. They have one of the building module as a URL module. As I told you before, with this we can actually do that work very easily. First of all, I want to take it. Okay, I want to import this as a URL. Okay, URL, and then if you want to import, that will be as a require. Right, that is a require method, our method, and into this require method area here I want to load our default one of the module as a URL module. I simply load it. Great. And now I want to do all that our URL in our this position, right? That is our requested URL. Here I want to do better I want to take another variable. Okay, I take another variable with the constant variable. I just name it as a my URL. Okay, sorry, URL. that is a my URL. And into this my URL, I want to do, first of all, I want to get our this object data. So I make it as a new and then the URL. So that is our URL. And into this area here, I want to pass our requested URL. Requested URL means that is our requested URL, right? So I simply pass it. And after that here, we have to pass our total extension. That means if you go, there is our base extension. You can see that is actually our base extension, right? I will copy it. Okay, I simply copy total things from here, and now I simply pass it, because here we have to actually separate both of these. That is our URL and also that is our string query, right? Now I want to simply pass it with the request and then URL, and here I pass that our base URL. Okay, so that is our base host as a localhost 3000. Great. So now if you want to check it, now if you check that console log, okay, with this console, better I copy it. Okay, better I copy this console log, and I want to display our my live, that is our my URL. Right now we don't need this, I remove it. Now what exactly the data that will be display? Now that will be actually display all the details. Okay, in our URL, all the details it will be now display. If you now click as a go there, now I want to do and to enter it again. That means refresh this page again. Now if you go, yes, now you can see it's now display all that our URL data, that is a href, original, the protocol, username, password, host name, there is a host name, there is a path name. Our path name will be as a /test and search name will be as a ID. So that is our string query. Okay, so now you can see it's also display the search path name as a URL and search params as a ID as a one ID. It's get all the data. So now from to this position, I want to take that path name and also our this query string. Okay, like that is our search parameters. So if you want to take both of these, like here, first of all, I want to do, I take one of the constant variable and I just name it as a path name. Okay, path name. I name it as a path name, and path name will be in our which place with our my URL. Because with this my URL we'll get every data, right? With this my URL we get all that our total object data, and from to this position I want to access our this path name. So after that, okay, here after that URL I want to use that as a path name. Okay, I simply take this path name and I take it with this variable. And also I want to take our another one as ID. Okay, which ID is that? I want to take this ID. If you want to take it, and then better I take another variable as a constant variable. I name it as a ID, and our ID will be first of all that your my URL, right? After that my URL, here that is the name as a search params. Okay, so now I want to copy it, so that will be as a search params, and with this search params here I want to get as a get method. So I loaded that get method, and with this method I want to get that our ID. Okay, I simply load this ID. So that is our string query. From to the string query I want to get that ID. Okay, so I simply get this ID. So now if you want to check it, like here I want to check that our params. Okay, I check that our path name, and also I want to check that our ID. So I simply take both of this in here. Now that will be very clear to you. Now you click as a save all. Okay, server is now running, and now I want to refresh this page. Click as a enter. Now if you go to here, now you can see it's now perfectly get our path name. So our path name as a test and ID as a 1. You can see they have one of the ID as a 1. So just simply understand, friend, it is very important. You just simply understand. I am actually trying to explain everything with very easy way. So now that is our path name. So our path name right now I am using as a test for the reasons is display as a test, and that is our ID. If you make it as a 5, okay, if you click as a 5, now that should be get another ID. Now you can see it's now get another test, and then that is our ID as a 5. Okay, so if you want to access this ID, what exactly you have to do? That is our my URL, and then our search params, that is our search params, all right? And with this get method, I get this ID. Okay, so that is all the object data, I simply get it. Great. And also I want to discuss about another important things, like I am using as a requested URL, and here I pass that our host name. But our host name not should be the same for everyone. Okay, and also when you deploy this project to the web server, then it might be the different domain, right? So for the reasons here, I want to make it as a dynamic. You can do that work very easily. I show you, Like first of all, I want to check it like with this console log. Okay, with this console and into the console log area here with this request. Okay, with this request parameter, if you pass that as a headers, so that is our another property, that is a request another property as a headers. Okay, if you call that as a headers, now what exactly the data that will be executed, I show you. Click as a save all. If you now click as a save all, and now if you go, just simply hit it again, and now go to our server, and into this server now you can see it's now actually get some of the data that is on the host data. Okay, into this host, and that is actually our host name, right friend? So now if you want to make it as a dynamic, okay, right now I want to do after that HTTP, this part I want to do into dynamic, because here you can see in our host that is actually our, that is started from the L, and that is our last one, right? So now I want to change our this part. Okay, I want to change that this part here. I want to load that our host. So that is host in our, first of all, that will be as a request, and then the headers, and then that will be as a host, right? Simple work. Now I want to first of all add that as a dollar. Okay, and also here if you want to use it better, I want to use that as a backtick, because that is our string value. I want to use that as a backtick. Okay, so that is a backtick started, and also I want to make it as a backtick ended. Great. And into the backtick area, now if you want to pass this data, then that will be as a requested header. Okay, right, simple, or the dollar, then the curly bracket, then that will be as a requested header. And requested headers, they have also another property as a host. Now I want to use that as a host property. You can see there is a host property. I hope friend it's very clear, and that is very much now dynamic. Okay, so I simply, that is whatever the URL right now that will be, that is totally will dynamic, and I take the things with this variable. Great. So next video I want to do for a specific some of the URL, I want to render some of the HTML file. How can do that work? I will show you that things with the live example. So that is all that is step-by-step process. Just simply understand it. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.